I've coached many, many women through weight loss highs and lows. And inevitably, someone comes to me pretty often before they come into Fit Moms Academy and they say, I just cannot lose weight. However, there are things that I also always see that are keeping these same women from losing the weight. So let's talk about that today.
Hey, welcome to the Kingdom Fit Moms podcast, where we believe that you can go on a journey to lose weight for the last time. I know you've tried all the things and you may not believe me yet, but when you do weight loss the Kingdom Fit Moms way, everything changes. You're in the right place if weight is constantly on your mind, you're confused about food, you're missing out on memories, and maybe even putting your dreams off for another day because this weight struggle is no joke. We're a community and we're on a mission to invite God into this weight loss journey so you can shed the burden and shine your light. I want you to start living and believing in the version of yourself that heaven sees. Let's get started.
The fear around choosing another diet plan only to fail again. It's so real. I know you feel this growing pressure in your chest to take your health seriously and get the weight off and do this for your family, but what if you end up right where you started? Is this eating plan the one that will stick? Can I really do this healthy living thing? Is it worth it if I have to give up all my favorite foods and even the comfort I get from those foods? I want you to understand that you're not alone and that every great success story begins with a yes, I'm going to start. Every woman who has ripped off the shades over their life and is actually walking out in freedom from the weight struggle started in your shoes. If you're feeling that nudge, that still small voice telling you that getting healthy and walking in obedience to God's better ways, if that's speaking to you and you're like, I'm done, I'm tired of letting this control my life, I'm ready for a better way to live, I want you to say yes. Today's the day that you start identifying as a fit mom. I want you to go right now to kelseywickenhauser.com/join, and I want you to come into our tribe so we can do this together, one step at a time inside of Fit Moms Academy. We're going to help you to overcome that fear of failure and identifying with the lie that being overweight is just who you are. You have bigger, better dreams and plans for your life that deserve to be walked out in total freedom. Come join us inside of Fit Moms Academy and get started on that freedom journey today. Go to kelseywickenhauser.com/join. Our Fit Mom win of the week comes from a gal who is on our leadership team. So we have set up our community inside of Fit Moms Academy to work where sometimes when a fit mom has quite a bit of breakthrough and she's really walking out that freedom, we invite them to come join the leadership team because there's so much power in going through a transformation and then helping other people do the same. And so this fit mom, she's been on our leadership team now for a couple years. And I just want to read to you her testimony because I think that it's really powerful to hear from women who are further along. The more that you can try to imagine through other testimonies what is possible for you, the more you're likely to continue and press in and go on this journey to lose weight for the last time with this hope in mind. So here's what she said. I've lost 25 pounds working with Kelsey over the last 3 years. One of the best things I did was carve out weekly time to go through the content that she offers through Fit Moms. This was life-changing for me, not only in what I chose to eat, but how I thought about food, but also dreaming about my future and what God has for me and what changes He might want to make generationally through me. So if I could give one piece of advice to people, it would be to immerse themselves weekly in the content. The other piece of advice I would give people is that it's so important not to hide when you're struggling. Bringing things out into the open takes away the power of shame, and there's a really good chance somebody else is struggling with exactly what you are. So talking about it on a call or in coaching with Kelsey is an absolute must. Beyond losing 25 pounds, I have found a new and revitalized spiritual life. I feel more in tune with the Holy Spirit and what He's speaking over me. I feel more in tune with what He wants from me and my children and in the direction our family is going. I feel more at peace as I practice silence and solitude, reflection, gratitude. I finally feel like I really understand what it means to take captive every thought and make it obedient to Jesus and to renew my mind daily. Probably the biggest change in my experience has been realizing that I was using food for comfort and that I was using food to continue to move in my life at a pace that was unsustainable. I simply had too many things on my schedule and was trying to do too many things. And that came from a root of striving and feeling like I wasn't good enough and I had to prove myself. What's amazing is that I can actually recognize when this starts to creep back up on me and I can stop it. I know what scriptures I need to speak over my life. I know what practices I need to engage into to move me into a less rush and less hurried state. I recognize that my mom used food to help me emotionally cope, and I went through a process of forgiving her for that and not holding that against her. What's amazing is the change that I'm seeing in my own kids and in my own parents now. My mom has lost 40 pounds in the last 2 years and is eating more whole foods than she ever has. My father was diagnosed with fatty liver disease and in 6 months has reversed his diagnosis because of the food choices he is making. My kids regularly eat veggies and don't balk about it. It truly is a life of freedom. So I'm getting goosebumps just reading this because I'm just so proud of her, and this is just one story of many. And so if this is the kind of vibe that you want, the kind of people you want to be around, come join us inside of Fit Moms because we are all about experiencing that freedom. All right, so today you are here on this podcast because maybe you're struggling to lose weight and you're wondering, what do I need to stop doing? How do I get over this hump? So I have 5 things I want to talk through today. And again, I see trends when I work with women. And, it's funny because as I was preparing for birth recently, I read a birthing book. I'm trying to remember which one it was in. I think it was in, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So there was a birthing book written by a midwife, and she was talking about the power of our mindset going into birth. And she was discussing managing pain and how she could tell just from the women and the way that they spoke about pain who was going to have pain. And this really touched my heart, and I started to consider, what if I speak differently about my birthing experience? And I think that whole experience is for another podcast. I need to still record that testimony for you all, but it was really interesting to consider how she could tell how somebody's birth experience was going to go just by the way they spoke about it beforehand. That really changed my perspective about delivering this baby. And I see the same thing when it comes to weight loss. When I have a client who comes to me and says, I just can't lose weight. It's not working. It's not coming off. It's like they're proclaiming what is to be. And there's nothing that I can do if somebody continues to speak that way. So the first thing that I want you to stop doing is to stop saying, I can't lose weight. There's so much power in our tongue. The Bible talks about there's life and death in the power of the tongue. And I would just encourage you, if you're somebody who's been speaking this over your life, like, I just can't lose weight, everyone in my family's overweight, I just can't do it. Instead of doing that, I want you to start speaking the opposite, right? Instead of speaking life and hope over your journey, are you agreeing with the enemy? Are you agreeing with the opposite? That's something to consider. Our thoughts and our words, they matter so much, and we have the power to co-create with God. The same goes in your weight loss journey. So if we're speaking that we can't, we won't. When we start to have success, we'll start to self-sabotage because it's what we've been speaking over our journey. Again, I've seen this time and time again, and I obviously can't be in somebody's world all the time to know what they're actually doing. But when I have somebody who comes to me and the whole time that we're working together, they continue to say this, even if I encourage them, like, hey, we need to change the way that you speak, I already know what the outcome is going to be. They're not going to have success with us. So the other ways that this kind of plays out on a more personal level. If you're speaking, I just can't lose weight. For example, like if you have the choice to sit still or to go on a walk, because you're speaking this over yourself that you just can't, then you're going to choose to sit still most of the time. And, even if we aren't seeing the results yet in the natural, the way that you speak about your journey, it totally matters. I think about one fit mom, Chantel. She was on the podcast, a year or more ago. And she just talked about how she would speak, I am a fit mom. And then she started doing what a fit mom would do with every little choice, even if her results were not yet manifesting as far as getting to her goal weight. And so part of Fit Moms Academy is we're teaching you how to think differently, how to speak, and how to create declaration statements that align with Scripture. All right, the next thing that I would tell you to stop doing if you feel like you just cannot lose weight or you're struggling to lose weight is to stop eating after dinner. Nothing good with food usually happens after dinner. And this is typically the time of day where we are de-stressing and decompressing, and food usually becomes a coping mechanism at this time of day. And I'm also not into absolutes. And, I'm not saying this is the law, but if the scale is not budging, then make this boundary that you are willing to stick to. If you're truly hungry consistently at nighttime after dinner, then instead of eating after dinner, what I want you to focus on is bumping up your protein and healthy fats and even just general calorie intake at dinner, even a little bit, so that you don't have to eat later. Or you can just go to bed. When you start snacking at night, it's so easy to eat those 500 calories or more and then totally ruin your deficit for the day that's going to lead to weight loss. Okay, the next thing that I want you to stop doing if you're struggling to lose weight is to stop skipping meals. Maybe you screwed up yesterday, right? And you totally botched what you wanted to do. And you're thinking, I'm just going to skip breakfast tomorrow and make up for it. This is really common. Or I'll wait to eat until dinner. So although this can be a tempting option to make up for what you have done, don't do it. And here's why. Almost all the time, especially if you're at the phase where you're listening to this podcast, you've done a million diets, you can't get off this roller coaster. Almost all the time when people are skipping meals, especially breakfast in the name of intermittent fasting, they have not done all this other work that we go over in Fit Moms Academy, like conquering emotional eating, understanding real food and what we should be eating on a daily basis, all of these pieces of a puzzle. And so it leads to binging later, almost all of the time, because our body's hungry, right? And then we suddenly need to eat all the things because we're hungry. And then this happens at night and it's going to backfire and you're going to blow it again and you're going to be on this vicious cycle. So stick to your healthy, real food meals. And if you blow it, just jump right back into real food to get back on track with fueling yourself insanely well. Don't punish yourself by skipping meals. All right, the fourth thing that I want you to stop doing if you're struggling with weight is to stop overcomplicating it. Macros and medications and cutting carbs and intermittent fasting, these are all tools that can be used, but I do not recommend doing them at first. Instead, focusing on things that are incredibly simple in a step-by-step process that we teach you. So instead of focusing on jumping into CrossFit, which is not bad, right? Focus on walking first and eating God's food and going to bed on time. And mostly being consistent over being intense. Focusing on real food over macros. Walking before CrossFit. Do the basics that will set you up for a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. And then learn inside of Fit Moms Academy what will add step by step to even greater gains in the scale, little by little. Do not be tempted to do it all at once either. And don't overcomplicate it by focusing on the weeds. Okay, last but certainly not least is I need you to stop doing this alone. Pride can be such a powerful thing, but when you truly want to make change and you're doing it on your own, you're just going to be spinning your wheels and wasting time. That shiny object syndrome is also a powerful thing where you see the commercial with the happy people on medication. I remember I had a patient who told me once that she wanted a very specific medication because of the commercial. Your friend tells you that she's doing these shakes and she's lost 20 pounds. It's so tempting, but don't fall for it, mama. There is no magic pill or medication or way to magically make the weight fall off in a way that's going to last. But God gives us this tried and true way, and He in His grace has made our bodies incredibly resilient. So if you're wanting a method that actually works and allows for the weight to come off quickly and for good without the fluff, then again, we want to invite you into Fit Moms Academy. Instead of jumping in with a bunch of man-made rules, we're going to help you walk out the version of you that heaven sees. And most of all, believe that you're worth being healthy and fit, and make a plan that works for this phase of your life with a community that gets it, that understands the prolonged struggle with weight and is there to cheer you on and help you take that next step and to stick with it. And you'll get to hear from leaders who have gone through the process and are here to help. You get help from me, but also this team of fit moms who have been broken free and are more than willing to share their stories and breakthroughs. All right, hop into our Facebook community. Tell us which of these struggles you need to let go of, and I will see you next week.
Hey Fit Mom, if this episode blessed you today and you can think of somebody else who's struggling in her weight loss journey, would you consider sharing this week's episode with her to give her a sense of hope? And then while you're at it, hop on over to our free Facebook community, Kingdom Fit Moms, for daily encouragement and support. Let's go shed the weight to shine the light.